An exhibition of nativity scenes in Kilcullen Parish Centre will be on display for a short period once the Level 5 restrictions are lifted on the 1st of December. There are more than 100 different nativity scenes in the exhibition, which have been collected by Lorraine Kelly with the help of her husband Jar and members of their family. The exhibits come from many countries and are made from many different materials. Some of them surprising, such as the setting inside a coconut shell made by a young man from Cambodia, and one where the figures and a yurt manger are made from sheep's wool in Kyrgyzstan. There's a colourful one from Vietnam which has its figurines made from recycled magazine pages, and there's a crib made with clay santon figures from France. From Liberia in Africa, there's one with elements created from casings from bullets fired during that country's civil war 30 years ago. And there are many, many more, each with their own stories, but all telling the same story of the birth of Jesus in a stable. I asked Lorraine Kelly how the collection was gathered.
Well, we have the one from the Suez Knitting Club. That's always in the church anyway. And other than that, we picked them up on the internet. I met a lovely lady down in Portlaoise, and I bought 1 or 2 nativities off her. And when she realised what I was doing, she donated me loads of nativities. So between that and the internet, and Bonnie has a few of them here, and my own personal one, my mum's one is the big one up here. And I suppose my plan in doing this was, the Pope had kind of said we had gone away from nativity scenes for Christmas and maybe it's time we brought them back. So my hope with doing this is that someone might say, okay, there's some here that are extremely cheap and some that are more expensive, that it's time that we brought it back into our houses. This one is a Kenyan one, and it was a thank you from the children of the orphanage that you bought it from. So you were kind of giving back to people as well, I suppose. There was one there that my daughter got for her confirmation. There's one somewhere that we got for a wedding present. I have a small one up there that my son bought years ago in Germany, but wasn't allowed to buy it unless he proved he was a Catholic. The one over here with the book, I got a pattern, it cost me €1 to make. So some of them came quite cheaply, some of them for different reasons. This one from Laos, I couldn't get the crib because in Laos they have baby Jesus swinging, and so we couldn't get it, so Ger had to make it. The board down at the end is where Caitlin drew it out and Kieran etched it. And then the lady from Portlaoise, she was giving me one. She mightn't necessarily have a stable with them, and I'd hand it to Kieran and I'd say, take that, bring me back a stable. So it kind of kept us busy in the year of lockdown, where there was always something, and Kieran would get up on a Saturday morning and he'd say, what do you want me to do with the crib today? So it was kind of like that for a while.
It is hoped that the exhibition will generate some funds through donations for the parish and for the Maintain Hope charity founded in Kenya by Jerry O'Donoghue. Father Niall Mackey was impressed, and that's an understatement, by the variety of the exhibits.
I'm amazed. It's hard to imagine such a variety in a Christmas scene. The different materials, the size, the colours, the design of the figures, and there's 100 of them here, and they're all different, from simple cards to Bellique china to wood, beeswax, everything.
For Jerry O'Donoghue, whose Maintain Hope charity, which supports families in Kenya which have been impacted by poverty and loss of parents, the exhibition shows a very appropriate theme.
I think it's just extraordinary. I suppose the first thing that occurs to me is that every single one of these scenes contains a family, and a new family. And in Gong, Matasia, Kiserian in Kenya, where we operate, it's all about family. It's about, first of all, trying to prevent family breakups. And where circumstances have forced children into institutions, it's about restoring those families and putting supports in place that will guarantee that that family can stay together in their own communities as a family unit, amongst their friends, amongst their school friends, in their own schools, in their own community. So every single nativity scene here sums up what we all wish not just for our own families, but for every family in the world, that they would have peace and unity and joy together this Christmas. And if this does nothing except raise awareness of what we're trying to do, I think it is just an extraordinary expression of support for what we're doing, but also a great expression of hope, not just for children, but for all of us in these very, very difficult times. It's just an extraordinary event.
And does Jerry think that the exhibition would resonate with the families in Kenya so far from Kilcullen?
I can already see them jumping up and down, because they will recognise that actually some of the nativity scenes here were made in Kenya, and they would be made in some cases by the children themselves. So it certainly would resonate, because we always say, no child left behind, families first. And when they see the Holy Family, I think it certainly would resonate, and not just like the old high crosses before, that there's no better illustration of what a family love should be than actually seeing it physically in front of you in all these different manifestations.